And just they're like.
The question goes back to.
Yeah, that's all right.
Just a question.
It's 4:30, so I'll just go ahead and get started.
How are you?
God bless. God bless.
To your initiates when it comes.
Good afternoon.
Like nature, no good either.
Welcome to the West-MEC Governing Board regular board meeting. Going to get started with the Pledge of Allegiance being led by Miss Andrea Calhoun, career coach from Northeast Campus, followed by a short moment of silence.
Please join me. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, next, can I get a motion to adopt the agenda as presented?
I'll move that we adopt the agenda as presented.
Got a second? Okay. I'll call the question. We're still waiting on Robert, right? Robert's still, okay.
Superintendent Warren has something going on, so he's.
Oh.
A little bit late, so wanted to join online so he can get it done.
Okay. All right, motion passes. Okay, let's move on to brief update here from Dr. Spurgeon, Superintendent.
Thank you, Chairman Ramirez. A few things have happened since last time we met. You probably recognize that February 2nd through the 6th was National Counseling Week, and so we celebrated the great work of our West-MEC counselors and our satellite counselors and all the other groups of folks that help us do the great work that we do. So congratulations and a great celebration to all the great work that our counselors here at West-MEC and our satellite districts do. I was also able to make a video recording. This is National CTE Month, February is, and so we celebrate all the great work in career and technical education. And if you haven't been online or watched social media lately, CTE is exploding across this country in all spaces, whether that's K-12, CTEs, or four-year, two-year universities and private schools. And so we're seeing a lot of great movement towards ensuring that our students have a great future. Was able to do a presentation with the Glendale Rotary Club for the first time, did a West-MEC update and overview for Glendale Rotary, and had some great feedback from there. Had a couple folks now that want to see a couple of our campuses, and hopefully I'll get invited back at another time when some of our projects are done to be able to give an update as well. So had a great time with the Glendale Rotary. Was able to participate in the Buckeye Business Leadership Summit on the panel, talking about workforce development and education. Susie Boyles from Buckeye, the Economic Development Department, was there, as well as a gentleman named, I can't remember Charlie's last name, but he's with Teravalis, the new big facility or big housing division out west of the White Lakes. And then a gentleman from GPAC. And so we were able to answer some questions and provide some input about business and industry and education workforce. And then I did an update after, as you know, at the end of each semester, I go around to all the schools and provide a West-MEC update overview of kind of our first semester results. And we give out t-shirts and socks and celebrate a little bit about the great things that happened for the first semester. This morning had a tremendous visit with Superintendent King from Yavapai County, the county superintendent there. We started at the Northeast campus and toured that. And then we went to a career academy at Alma Fria, then finished up at the Southeast campus. He really wanted to get a sense of what we do here in Maricopa County at West-MEC and to take some of those great ideas back to Yavapai to see if there's some things they might be able to do for their students up there. So just a great opportunity to visit with him. We had our West-MEC Alliance fundraiser at Topgolf, and I'm quite sure we raised probably north of 6 figures. For the Alliance for that great event. And so we're very happy to all that turned out. And I think I got to hit 3 balls. I think I talked to everybody that was there. So I got to hit 3 balls right there, but it was great. Met with Paradise Valley School District, Union High School School District, their chief financial officer and the interim superintendent yesterday. So we exchanged some information and they're going to be talking with their board about what's possible or what might not be possible. So I'll share some more information as we get that done. And then I just came from, that's why I was a little bit behind today. We had our pre-app meeting with the city of Avondale for the extension of the next building for our career academy at Agua Fria. So not many changes there. We've got a lot of our stuff already submitted, so we're hoping to break ground sometime pretty soon here this semester. So that being said, that's all I have, Chairman.
Thank you. All right, a brief update from the governing board, and I'll go ahead and start on this end this time. Mr. Vice Chair, Mr. Molina, would you like to get us started?
Sure. Had an opportunity to participate in the mock interviews over at the dental career course out at the Southwest campus. Some really good students, good interviews, a lot of good questions. And I think we're on the right track, just based on that. Did notice that quite a few of them want to be oral surgeons, so you know they're going to be doing dental assisting or something like that to pay for their college. I'm thinking because they got 8 years of college ahead of them at least. So, but anyway, that was a good experience for me, and I look forward to participating in others in the future. Perfect.
All right, thank you, Mr. Strug.
I know I have a couple things, I just can't remember what they are, I didn't write them down, so I'll say to Barbara.
Ms. White.
I was trying to look and see what I went to a couple advisory committees, which kind of, I love those. One of them I know is out of Northeast Campus on Collision. And it was just amazing, the people that show up, and they're gonna have a fair. I think the fair is next month. Not sure I've got it down. I wanna go because they're, all of these different partners are having booths, and they were trying to talk about how they're gonna bring the kids to their booths, and I said, you should have some competition, maybe if you say that you can make $200,000 do it. So it was fun, I really enjoyed it. It's good. And then I went, got my hair too.
Yeah, very good question. Suppose. No. Mr. Sykes.
I got my hair cut too.
Did you?
Hold on. I don't have anything except, I did talk with the Christensen on the PB board. She visited the Northeast campus and I think the Agua Fria. Gosh, she was impressed. Everybody that hasn't been there before or hasn't visited one of our campuses before, when they do come, they're always impressed. Our campus administrators do a great job touring them through the facility, and they come out with a real positive attitude. So she's gonna be running for state senate from the legislative district 4, but she's on the board of PV now.
Thank you.
One lady.
Right. Next item on the agenda is call to the public. Is there anyone from the public speaking today? No? Second call to the public. Third call to the public. No one, okay. Recognitions and celebrations. Let me see. So we have Mr. Jerry Guide, Assistant Superintendent for Teaching and Learning, and Ms. Kristen Casillas, Administrator for Northeast Campus.
We have some slides coming, but yeah, there is the members of the board. Dr. Spurgeon, happy to be here tonight to kick off a couple of our first celebrations here. So first, we want to start with recognize our communications department. So our communications department has come somewhat of a tradition with the awards that they seem to win through the Arizona Public Relations Association. That association, there's several awards that our team submits for. As you can see here on the list, I won't read through all of these, but you can see all of these different awards recently that our communications team was recognized for, with some of the publications for our annual report and some different videos, and just amazing work through social media, through video, and through the reporting that our team does in the communications department. So you guys get to see those out on our website, and they're published out there in social media. And so we would just want to take some time to recognize our communications department led by Mr. Chris Cook and the communications team. So congratulations. Excellent work that helps truly spread the message to the value that we do, that we bring every single day. For those that come onto our campuses, they, like you said, they're completely blown away. But we can reach them in a lot of different ways through our media department as well. Next, got some special recognitions for our leader, Dr. Spurgeon. Recently, two big recognitions. The first one, you guys hopefully have seen these already in the media, but Dr. Spurgeon was recognized by the AZ Big Media on the Big 100 list in the Arizona Business Magazine, which is a huge accomplishment to be recognized in that magazine. Also was recognized by the Wickenburg Chamber of Commerce recently as the Educator of the Year. And that award was voted on, the first time that they've given this award by the Wickenburg Chamber of Commerce, unanimous nomination for that award. So I want to recognize our leader, Dr. Spurgeon. Thank you for your leadership. Thank you.
Leadership all the way down. Thanks for everybody and all their hard work. And I think the AZ Big Media called us Mavericks. I've never been called a Maverick before.
Happy to turn it over to Ms.
Thank you.
Chairman Ramirez, members of the governing board, Dr. Spurgeon, it's my honor to be here tonight on behalf of the entire Northeast Campus family to recognize our amazing career coach, Miss Andrea Calhoun, as the West-MEC Employee of the Month. I've been at the Northeast Campus for 3.5 years, and we do have a practice there where we allow our staff to nominate each other for awards. And I will tell you, I get to see all of those nominations, and it's pretty rare that a month goes by that her name isn't on that list. Our staff, she goes above and beyond to help our staff, and we greatly appreciate her. And I also think that I can speak on behalf of the Agua Fria campus as well, the Career Academy at Agua Fria. She has gone down there to ensure that those students deserve every bit of support on that campus as well. And so she goes out there to prepare those students and help them and support them. And I know that they're grateful as well. So a few quick words. Andrea's daily efforts directly contribute to the success of Northeast Campus and the district in the areas of career literacy, credentials, professional skills, and advisory councils. In career literacy, Andrea prepares students for purposeful career plans by leading resume workshops, interview preparation, professional skills training, and mock interviews. And you mentioned mock interviews. If you haven't seen our mock interviews yet at the Northeast Campus, it is a well-oiled machine. Please, we invite you to stop by. It's very systematic. She has it down to a science. So please come and visit us for that. When it comes to credentials, Andrea ensures students understand the purpose behind earning them. She communicates expectations, schedules, and proctors exams, assists students with requesting accommodations for those tests, and supports teachers every step of the way. She provides invaluable support through advisory councils, working collaboratively with our teachers. You know, you guys all know that teaching is hard work. And so she really does work with those teachers to run effective advisory councils, best practices. She helps them with that documentation. And that's so important for those industry connections. Finally, Andrea stays informed on the labor market. She's always bringing articles to me. She does this above and beyond on her own time. I don't ask that of her, but she'll bring me the latest trends. She'll tell me what employers are asking for, feeds those articles to me. So she's just so important to our team and really keeps us on the cutting edge. So she's hardworking, detailed-oriented, innovative. Andrea, we thank you for all that you do. We appreciate you, we value you, and we are proud to celebrate you tonight. Thank you. I
I've been here a long time. This is my 11th school year, so I've been committed as a West-MEC employee. I love the kids. That's my reason why. I just have a few words. Chairman Ramirez, members of the board, and Dr. Spurgeon, thank you so much for this incredible honor. Being recognized as District Employee of the Month is truly meaningful, and I'm very grateful. What I appreciate about West-MEC is that we don't just focus on helping students develop new skills and grow into their futures, we also invest in staff. That commitment to staff development is what allows me to get a little bit better each day. It is that support that allows me to grow professionally, pushing me to be better, support our students, build new industry partnerships, and strengthen existing partnerships. I truly appreciate being encouraged to share our expertise by presenting on embedding professional skills into CTE curriculum. Just next week at a national conference, thank you for allowing my team to go and share these skills with other people. Having the opportunity to contribute is truly meaningful. And then lastly, I want to sincerely thank Mrs. Kristen Casillas for this recognition. Your leadership means a great deal to me. Your belief in my work and the trust that you place in me is what allows me to continue to grow every day.
Thank you.
Thank you.
I want a job at
A
West-MEC.
little bit about the individual touches that you have, like when you're speaking to kids, you guys meet with every single student.
Purposeful career plans.
Bit about that.
Yeah, so administration pulls them out, the one-on-one conferences that I mentioned before. We do that in the fall, talk with them about their purposeful career plan. And then we give that information to Ms. Calhoun and our counselors as well, so that if there are any students that are unsure of what their next step will be after West-MEC, that we can meet with them, provide them the resources, do any type of career exploration, and that one-on-one support. We're scheduled to go back in, administration will go back in and revisit those plans with those students in, we're scheduled March, April. And then Andrea will go in and walk them through developing their actual plan. So multiple times throughout the year to ensure that really 100% of Northeast Campus students leave with a purposeful career plan.
This data is so helpful throughout the entire year when I meet with students who are struggling or who just don't know what pathway they want to take. We can look at the data that Kristen and Anthony collected during the year and have those meaningful conversations.
Yeah, board members.
Wish I had this when I was in school.
Where would I be?
Late.
When's your next mock interview session?
But
But
we can send you the dates.
yes, I will send you those dates. I've got a nice list of everything going on our campus.
I'd like to see that.
Yes.
I've been to those mock interviews before and they are amazing.
Put it on my calendar.
I would love to have you guys.
Yes, medical assistant.
Yeah,
Miss Michaels.
1:00.
those kids are just so brilliant and it's such a fun kid to watch.
Get us a way to go.
Alright.
Sure. Go there. Go there. Yeah, you can do that.
Hold that up.
Thank you.
All right, a little closer together.
We're not battlist yet, wait a minute.
There you go.
Yeah.
We got the most activity with all the strikes.
All right, 1, 2, 3, and then one more. 1, 2, 3. Congratulations, Andrea.
Thank you. Thank you. What? Yes, thank you. Thank you, sir. Thank you for always supporting us.
Say it, right? I think. Yep. Okay, presentation of strategic plan. Presenter Joe Wilfield. Okay, Presentation of strategic plan goals for 2025-2026, presented by Mr. Joel Wakefield, Director of Professional Development and Strategic Planning. Welcome.
Thank you, Mr. Ramirez, members of the board, Superintendent Spurgeon. Thank you for the time to share with you an update on our strategic plan. I'll take a little bit of walk down memory lane to show you how we got here, and then talk about some of the major accomplishments that we've met over the past 5 years. You see the word Aurora. Aurora really was developed as a name that would identify the good work that we do across the organization. Just recently, Aurora Borealis was able to be seen here in Arizona. It's a great spectacular thing that people see that come across the globe to find, to admire, to find out more about, and that's exactly what we've been able to do at West-MEC. People have come to us. We have excelled in many different categories. We've developed many things. And so this idea of Aurora embodies the work that we've done here at West-MEC. So that's where the name came from. This is our third plan. You see in 2021, we launched our third strategic plan. Traditionally, we have 5-year strategic plans. Too difficult to project out 10 years. So much changes so quick. But at the end of this year, we will sunset our third plan. And so as you see the work that we've done historically, there's been a significant change from Plan 2 to Plan 3. We really wanted our strategic plan to be embodied in the work that we do, not something in addition to what we do on a daily basis. And you can see that as we think about student achievement, we're all about student achievement, we're all about credentials, and then we're also about developing a career plan, just as Andrea talked about a couple minutes ago. Initially, we set our strategic plan up into 2 categories of student engagement and stakeholder engagement. And this was the plan that was handed to Dr. Spurgeon as he came to us. And as he really thought through these goals, we redesigned it using the same 14 goals that we have into these 4 categories: credentials, achievement, and literacy, with then goals underneath those 3 categories. But we also recognize that we can't accomplish the goals that we've set if we aren't taking care of our employees, if we're not building partnerships, as Ms. Megan Mills has talked about just recently. And then we've got to make sure our students are safe and our staff is safe. So those are what we call our foundational goals. And that's the structure of our current strategic plan. We initially thought that we would pick a few goals each year and work on those. But we recognize that we're always working on all the goals. We just don't stop working on them. We continue to develop them. In fact, we're still working on some of them as we think of this year. Some of the major accomplishments that we've had, this is not an exhaustive list, but I come before the board every year and share. We've developed this matrix of the levels of the certifications or credentials that we offer, and that's been very helpful as we use advisory. But then also we've talked about these career plans, students identifying what their plan is, communicating with parents about the certification that their student will be sitting for, and the development of their, what the student wants to know and become. We've also really worked to make equitable learning experiences. Equitable learning experiences might mean that a program has similar experiences no matter what campus you're on. They're consistent and all very rigorous. And you can see under student achievement, we've also worked as we think about the work on the administrators evaluation, one of the goals that we have for the organization this year. We know that if our administrators are doing excellent work, which they're doing, our achievement of students will go up. And then you see a couple big goals that we've had this year with a work-based learning tracker. So students can track their work, they can enter data in there, others can enter the data in there. So we really know the expanse of what they're doing. And then we also have, when we think about what's called the life cycle of a completer, this really gives us a picture of what a completer looks like, the characteristics that they will have. They're an emerging professional, maybe an empowered learner, or a global competitor. So we've developed this picture of what somebody that completes one of our programs looks like, all a part of our strategic plan. And then as you think about some of these foundational practices and goals we've worked on, We've heard just recently about these partnership agreements that really develop a significant partnership with our businesses. And then goals this year, as you think about how we take care of our employees, really helping them to grow and develop through their employee evaluation. And then the other foundational piece that you can see is that IT has been very instrumental in developing safety practices for our campuses with how they use technology, how they access. And then our facilities team really has ensured that we have safety on our campuses, cameras and ERP and some things like that. So not an exhaustive list, but definitely a list that shows some of the highlights of what we have done. So I stand for any questions.
Well, I think it's an amazing job, and have you got the next 10 years planned before you leave?
85. So thank you for the question. We are developing and putting together some research as well as practices as far as what we might like to make this next plan. So always looking ahead.
So Dr. Spurgeon will be taking over the strategic planning for the next 5 years.
Of course, we'll replace him, Joel. It's unfortunate he's leaving us. It's been a sad day, but he'll have a replacement sometime fairly soon.
Okay.
Joel's done a great job. Not only a leader here, but he's a leader across the state of Arizona and beyond. So done great work, Joel.
Well, thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Next item. Update on staff performance pay plan, Ms. Kathy Mace, Assistant Superintendent for Human Resources.
Good evening, Chairman Ramirez, members of the governing board, Dr. Spurgeon. Hopefully you had a chance to review the spreadsheet that listed all of the goals from our team members that have submitted. But here's just some metrics for you to give you an update as to where we are. Of the 230 staff members that are employed here at the district, 97.6% of those eligible are participating in the performance pay plan. That equals 127 actual employees that are doing this work. 159 goals. And the reason it doesn't match exactly with 127 is because our supervisors, directors, and administrators, they actually have to complete 2 goals in order to be eligible for performance pay. And we went back out to our administrators at the request of the governing board just to see if everyone was on track, because we didn't want to wait until the end of the year and, not everybody had this opportunity. So when we did that study, 98.7% of our employees are now on track to complete their goals for the rest of this year. And then my final comment is that if it is the governing board's recommendation that we continue to do a mid-year check-in, we'll make sure that we build that into the evaluation systems that we're building for next year.
And I hope the big report wasn't too much information, so we put it in administrative content just so you can see it. So not somebody you might want to read it, some may not, but some might.
I did, I really went through that big spreadsheet and stuff like that, and the only one thing that I could say is, I think was the top 2 where we started talking about the proficiency on the Southwest campus, and it said anything above 75% would get that, and I would like to see that raised a little bit higher, at least to a minimum of 80, maybe 85. That would bring it up to B plus. I think 75.
Yeah, I don't think it's fair to change the goals mid-year on anybody.
I'm just saying, next, we can look at the next time around. I think the goal's set too low.
My big concern on the goals is, have we done calibration across the organization? Meaning, I see Ryan here and I see Kathy here. You both have team members. Is their effort for the $1,000 incentive about the same amount of effort? Meaning 40 hours and 42 hours versus, 10 and 80. How is that calibrated?
For your comment and concern, board member Straka, as part of our training, that was one of the things that we emphasized, is that regardless of what department that you're working in, these goals should be year-long goals, and you should be cognizant of what goals your team members are doing. So as you're doing that analysis and you're looking at one of your employees, you know, they shouldn't have a goal where it only takes 20% of their time, and you have another employee where they have to do 85% of the time. So that was part of the training that we did.
Then how did that get calibrated between like your organization, and I'm just using your organization versus Mr. French's organization? Because how do you know that it's the same across the organization?
Well, as Joel and I reviewed them, we were, and I'll let Joel if he wants to jump in as well. We just, you know, made sure as we reviewed all of the goals that they were, you know, they followed a certain criteria in each department. And that was that, you know, that they were equally distributed across the whole staff, that they had the expectation is that it wouldn't just be something that they do as part of their typical workday, that it would be either a departmental goal or a district goal. So we did try to put those elements in place to make sure they were consistent.
And then what's the perceived, is there a perceived range of effort? Like if, you know, what I mean, like number of hours, ballpark.
Well, I would say to that, it really should be something that's done outside of the workday, right? Because they're already being paid to do 8 hours of work in whatever capacity that they're in. So whether it's additional training or if it's coming up with a program, maybe they're working on it, you know, in some other way, maybe not hourly, because you have to pay for everything. that they
But
got.
pay overtime and then you're stuck again.
That's a whole different issue, but it should definitely be something that's outside of their current scope of work. So that's what their administrators should have been looking for.
Keep in mind, I think the board has also asked for what was the benefit to the actual performance, and so we'll be gathering it. Again, first plan's always your worst plan, so this is things.
It's a
we'll-
test and learn.
It is, but you know,
My, you know, I see 97% or 98% participation, so I'm comfortable there because you also have the discrimination test. And when I mean discrimination, administration versus staff is if you're heavy on administration and light on staff, that's a no-no with federal law.
And equity,
If,
agreed. Any other questions?
I don't have.
Yeah, I'd be interested to know, if you've noticed that the introduction of these goals, these performance goals, has that generated like more enthusiasm, more creativity, more of a like,
Or concerns.
yeah, like I'm a stakeholder, really excited about my work and contributing more. Have you seen anything like that, that positive energy, creativity?
Anecdotally, I think that our employees finally feel that the work that they're doing is more valued because, you know, the instructors have various ways that they can earn additional compensation.
Culture, have you seen any
Based on
change to the
work
culture?
that they do. But this has given them an opportunity to earn additional compensation for, hey, our work is valuable too, so that's that I'm getting
Has that been a positive impact on the culture then of the district?
so far.
It's good to know.
Were there any goals that are already completed?
No, because the goal was to complete at least have it be a year-long activity with a mid-year check-in, so it should be a pretty lofty goal. So as far as I know, I don't think any yet. They're still working on
Just one comment I wanna make, kind of going off of what Mr. Straka was asking about in terms of how many hours one person takes over another. It's like, for me, it'd be hard to, I guess, put limits. The only limit that I would put is like a floor, right? Like, it can't be a project that only requires 3 hours.
Mhm.
And I don't know if it's, if the limit would be in terms of hours, in terms of value, how do you measure that? But I would like to see maybe work into the rubric, like a minimum floor of effort, right? And then basically the sky's the limit. It's up to you to spend the time that you want to spend on it. I don't want to limit someone if they want to really are passionate about a certain goal. I don't want to basically put limits on them, restricting their efforts. You know, if they want to go that far, let them rise, you know, to that level.
And you know that you're absolutely right. The only, one of the fences we did put around it is that if it would lead to overtime,
Yeah.
you know, that would be something we'd have to manage, but
Correct.
other than that.
Okay.
Mr. Garcia,
Yes.
question.
Oh, Mr. Garcia?
Yeah, so I think that sometimes we get lost in the weeds with some of this stuff. If we're to measure effort, would take a scientific study of activity, end results, sweat equity, the whole 9 yards. I mean, we're not into that mix. I really think that we have a good guardrails on quality, and we have some good common sense about what it's going to drive in terms of the employees being engaged and contributing to advancements and enhancements of what the work that they're doing. I like measuring it because it's not really. I mean, we're not trying to build a extremely competitive race. We're trying to do betterment and show that they're leaning forward and trying to achieve a goal, which would be the bonus. Um, so I hear the same conversations we had last time about building so many guardrails. It's going to be near impossible for them to be able to get some of this stuff, even though they're making a bona fide effort, and their results could be credible. Um, I would just caution that we remember that while we're building these things out.
Yeah, so we have 127 people participating, 127 different goals. Well, a little bit more than that because administration has 2 goals, but at least 127 goals. So it'd be hard to measure all of them equally, right? They're all different. It's understandable.
We just want something that we don't want a year from now to get sued because
Correct. Yeah.
a white male only spent 10 hours and a female spent 90, and then it's a discrimination suit. So just as long as you protect us, that's really, I think, the board's biggest concern.
I agree.
Okay. Any other questions?
And I think part of the rationale for even doing this is to essentially build that culture of perpetual self-improvement
Yeah.
within the West-MEC family. So in establishing these goals, the ultimate goal is to get to as close to 100% retention and placement for the students, delivering the product that we have promised the West-MEC community, the whole West Valley, whole Western Maricopa County, plus Paradise Valley. But I think that's the ultimate goal, is to build that culture, and this is the tool that we've asked you to implement. I think we're on the right track in that regard.
I think it really builds innovation where we won't see something, but an employee can see an innovative way to do something better. And I'd much rather have them come up with the innovation, because we'll as a board never have that innovation.
Yep.
Sure. Thank you. Okay, legislative update, Ms. Megan Mills, Assistant Superintendent for Strategic Partnerships.
Good evening, Chairman Ramirez, governing board members, Dr. Spurgeon, and our West-MEC community. As the West-MEC lobbyist, I do track a variety of bills on behalf of West-MEC. There have been over 2,100 bills since the legislative session opened, which is an all-time record. It's about 20% higher than we've seen in the past. And so while I can't claim to be an expert on all 2,100 bills, I have put before you tonight at least 20 or so that have some relevance to you here at West-MEC. And I provided each of you a list of those different bills that provides a synopsis of what the bill is, where it's at in the process, the sponsor, and then its relevance to West-MEC. And due to limitations on time tonight, there are 5 in particular that are highlighted on this sheet that I would like to go over with you. While all of them are relevant for time purposes, I'm going to go over a select few. So the first one I wanted to draw your attention to is House Bill 2216. This is a bill put forward by Representative Mr. James Taylor. The purpose of this bill is to provide an alternative certificate for students who are pursuing the trades pathway as a career option to be able to receive their high school diploma. What Mr. Taylor is proposing is that a group of stakeholders come together and determine what the new criteria for obtaining a high school diploma would be for this group of students who are pursuing a career in the construction, welding, plumbing, mechanical, or electrical career paths. And so there's lots of work to be done if that does indeed pass, but that is something that I wanted to bring to your attention because it is one of our big efforts at West-MEC is those different career paths. Along those lines, I did want to give a special thank you to my teammate Garrett Guy, who joined me at the Capitol last week to speak with Representative Taylor regarding this House bill, as did Mr. Robert Garcia. Additionally, my colleague at Tri-Advocates, Roxana, was also at the Capitol to help guide the discussions and facilitate that introduction with Mr. Taylor. So it's definitely a group effort when we're down at the Capitol, and so I did want to take a moment to acknowledge my colleagues for their partnership. The other bill I wanted to call your attention to is House Bill 2022. This is a bill that is actually going to be moving the elections, primary election date from the last week in August to the second to last day in July. Now that did become law. That is effective immediately. And in reading the purpose behind why that became effective is because the state needs more time to meet federal compliance with different sorts of federal elections that are up ahead. And so they want to make sure that when we're running our primary elections, that they're following all of the state and federal guidelines. And so that 2-week time frame is going to give the state just a little bit more time to prepare for elections. What that means for West-MEC is that as we have governing board elections that fall on that even year cycle, the deadline for filing as a governing board member will also be moved. And so more information on that will be coming your way. The next item that I want to discuss with you is House Bill 2318. 2318 is a bill that places term limits on school board members. It's meant for districts that have people who have served for 8 consecutive years and have been off the and have not been off the board for 4 years to not be eligible to run again. However, there is a stipulation in the current bill legislation that if there is an appointment that's needed to be made, that person who was on the board for a consecutive 8 years may be appointed to fill that role. And then lastly, not only do I track what's going on at the Arizona State Capitol, but I do keep my eye on federal issues as well. And so one of those items was put forward by Representative Adam Smith. There is some new federal CTE grant funding that may come available. While there is about $1.4 billion set aside for Perkins that comes through the state of Arizona through a variety of grants, there is another set aside of potential congressional budget monies that can further help us with CTE programs in Arizona. And so that federal grant program could help us further expand what we're doing here at West-MEC if that in fact comes to fruition.
Is that a direct grant to the district or does it pass the funnel through the state?
So all of that's to be determined still, to be determined.
CPE Pell Grant option could be a good one.
And then in addition to making headway at the Capitol by meeting with the different representatives, there are a variety of different events that I've attended throughout the last several months. Things that we're a part of, like the Chamber of Commerce, often host our elected officials there for meet and greets to talk about these various topics. ASU has had us there to talk to congressional members. West-MEC has a variety of events as well. And then there are different events that happen at the Capitol on behalf of nonprofit organizations that we have memberships of that we also go down to the Capitol and participate in. So, with that being said, the next steps are to keep you informed along the legislative session. We've got a ways to go. Typically, the legislative session ends in May or June. And as these different bills are floating around the various committees and make their way to the floor and ultimately to the governor's desk for her signature or veto, I'll keep you updated monthly at these meetings. I also work closely alongside my colleague Kathy Mays, and she's the person that when it comes to policy related to these different bills is letting us know how that will affect us as an organization. I welcome any questions.
Questions for the board? On House Bill 2216, the trade diploma program. I thought all of our completers were in fact getting high school diplomas.
They do.
Okay. So how does this impact? I don't understand maybe what this is trying to accomplish.
So in talking to Representative Taylor, one of the things he wants to do is look statewide about how students are receiving their diploma and values CTE. And so he wants to ensure that when students pick a trade that's related to CTE, that they have a way to get their CTE credits, count toward some of the core academic requirements of a high school diploma. So for instance, the way the bill wording is right now, in the state of Arizona, to be a high school recipient, a high school diploma recipient, you have to have 4 hours, 4 credits in math. Right now, they're proposing students in a CTE pathway would need 3. In science, you typically have to have 3 science credits. In this proposal at the moment, they're requiring 2. So there's still lots to be discussed, and ultimately this group of stakeholders that's outlined in the House bill would be the ones to make those exact determinations. But I think what they're trying to do is take some of the high school requirements out of what it takes to maybe pursue a position in the trades career field.
Yeah,
You
I'm confused.
Those with the career.
Both science, I'm thinking of our programs that West-MEC provides. And I can see science and math throughout all of those programs. So I don't understand what they're trying to accomplish here. And granted, for West-MEC, that's one thing, but if you're looking statewide, that might be another issue. But I can't imagine a program that we provide certifications in that doesn't have math and science in some form. Maybe it's a matter of articulating that in the program of instruction more so as far as we're concerned and saying, okay, we're in this class in automotive. I need to mix formulas for painting. So there's a math component to that. And oh, by the way, there's a science component to that too, because you got different chemicals involved in mixing those paints, and different paints react different ways. So anyway, just.
Mr. Molina, my colleague, Jared Guy and I actually talked about that very topic. We think it's critical not to water down what it means to be a high school graduate in Arizona. And so we would urge Mr. Taylor to consider ensuring that the academic core stays in place, and that maybe there's some other requirements that are maybe less essential, like physical education, that could be a requirement of a high school diploma that could instead be looked at as something that's not a requirement. In taking a look at how we can revise high school diploma credits to be able to fit the pathway that certain students have selected.
One of the problems is you, for instance, if you come through our program and become getting welding certificate, you may do that for 5 years and decide you want to do something different. And now you don't have the basic skills necessary to do something different, and that could present an issue.
Yeah, how would that affect your ability? Let's say, like Mr. Science said, you change your mind and you want to go to college now. Is that gonna affect your ability to apply and get accepted into college or university?
Even a lot of the trades, they eventually have their own business. You have to do math to do your taxes and run a payroll and everything. the concept that we used to talk about years ago was creating a CTE seal on top of the diploma. Because that really says, hey, not only did they meet the criteria for Arizona, but they have met the criteria for
These trades.
these traits. And maybe if he wants to do something, that might be a better alternative.
Enhancements rather than a reduction would be probably our recommendation is what it sounds like.
I see Mr. Guy shaking his head. He remembers those conversations years ago and we could never get any traction. So maybe this is it.
All right. Thanks.
Thank you.
To motion to approve the consent agenda as presented and or amended.
Mr. Chairman, I'll move that we approve the consent agenda as presented.
Second.
I'll second.
Okay, then the second, call the question. This not to action discussion. This is a long one to consider. Here, I'll just do a brief introduction to this, to consider and if deemed advisable to adopt a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of school improvement bonds of the district. And adopting certain post-issuance, continuing disclosure compliance procedures and issuance and post-issuance tax compliance procedures. Stop there. Mr. Ryan French.
Thank you, Mr. Chair, members of the governing board, Dr. Spurgeon, West-MEC community. It is a lot of words tonight, but this is essentially the sale of $200 million in school improvement bonds. We authorized $415 million with Prop 403. We, as a district, have done some exercises and determined that $200 million in the first round of sales is going to be ideal for us to start and finish a lot of these projects that we have in place. We have a presentation for you tonight. I do have a team with me that is going to present for you and answer, field any questions that you guys have. First is Jim Gill from Gus Rosenfeld. We have him over here. And then I have Brian Lumberg and Randy Stein from Stiefel. There are our bankers essentially. So I'm going to invite Brian and Randy up to go through a couple of slides with you, talk about the $200 million sale in bonds. And then the next item is going to be a refunding of bonds with some cash that we have and refunding some bonds early. So, Brian? Okay, stay there.
Mr. Chairman, members of the board, and Dr. Spurgeon, thanks for this opportunity. Before we go through our very brief presentation, in case there's questions, whatnot, I wanted to say that I recognize the years and the hours that a lot of people spend on this and the expertise and the insights. So congratulations with the voter support. That's a big deal. So we want to do, there's two agenda items tonight. One would be for the 200 million school improvement bonds. The other one would be for a refinancing opportunity on a very small amount of remaining bonds that you have now, which are callable. So 25 million of the outstanding bonds to be refinanced for savings. So with this, I'm hoping that you're warmed up a little bit at least with what if you approve the resolutions tonight. Who we'll be working with, what we're going to be up to, and what we estimate the outcomes would be. And so on the first page here, we have our major financing team participants, just to give you an idea. Already announced is Jim Gill with the firm Gus Rosenfeld. He is your bond attorney.
his job is to basically give an opinion at the end of this. And in order to give the opinion at the end of this, that your bonds are validly issued under state laws, he administers the process for you, make sure that you're compliant, drafts most of the closing documents. And importantly for us, who are going to be selling the bonds, he also gives the opinion that the interest income for investors who buy these bonds is exempt from state of Arizona and federal income taxes. So Randy and I are with Stifel. We're the underwriter. Basically, our job is to ultimately sell the bonds to investors. But in order to do that, we help you prepare for the sale and prepare for the marketing period. And we'll talk to you a little bit on the next slide about the steps that we do to prepare that. Because of the volume of securities laws involved with a bond sale or whatnot, we also hire an attorney which has the same expertise and experience that Jim's firm does, just to make sure that we're doing this in a compliant way. They also help us with due diligence, and they draft up a purchase agreement for us. The other parties involved with this sale are certainly the county treasurer's office and the county schools office, referred to now under their name of Makisa. They're basically custodians for you guys. You guys know them in many different ways, financial ways, that they're a custodian for you. There'll be a paying agent bank who you're used to working for on your existing bond issues, US Bank, who serves, they keep a record of who holds the bonds, and whenever it's time to make payments, they receive the payments from the county treasurer and send it to those bondholders. We've already used them several times over the last few years to haul in some of your outstanding bonds, and so we're hopeful that it'll stay US Bank also for when it comes time to refinance these bonds. The last major entity we put down on the page is the credit rating agency. The district has a AA- credit rating with Standard & Poor's. We expect them to at least affirm it, and you know, we're biased. We, like you guys, we're always rooting for an upgrade to AA. But you know, that's something that they do, and they compare you with a lot of folks across the countries and a lot of peer districts and whatnot. So we can't be certain that we'll get an upgrade, but AA- is a good rating. It's in the upper echelon of credit ratings, and it would be similar to the credit rating that districts like Deer Valley, Peoria, Dysart, Agua Fria, Tolleson, Union have out there. Just to give you a feel for what the ratings is, you being a composite of all your different members and the different situations they're in. So on the second slide are the sort of the major steps of a financing. Since the election passed, we've basically been busy gathering data and work and building up documents to get us to this point. And we've been running Ryan through the mill over this last week. We spent some time on the phone with the financing team to wrap up due diligence. He's also spent time on with the rating analysts from S&P. But we've made it to today thus far with all those documents before you now, and with your approval, we have, Randy and I at Stifel have an internal committee approval that we need to gain, but we should be ready to publish what we call a preliminary official statement. It's basically the term in the muni bond world for what is called a prospectus in the corporate bond world. You guys have heard of a prospectus. It basically has everything that an investor would need to know to make an informed decision. So we're thinking of publishing that as soon as tomorrow evening, and we should be ready for a sale of bonds after a pre-marketing period as soon as the week of February 23rd. And if that week doesn't look like a good week to do it, it'll be the following week, and proceed to close the bond issue by the third or fourth week in March. That's the point at which the money will be in the bank, and you can go on with your projects as approved that are within the constraints of the voter pamphlet. So what are our expected outcomes here? As mentioned, we're getting prepared for the sale of 200 million of the 415 million approved by voters. We're also getting prepared to refinance 25 million outstanding bonds. Out of that 200 million, our state statute requires some of the certain kinds of the expenses to be paid from the voter authority. So that for projects, you're going to have just shy of 200 million to spend on projects. The kinds of projects that you would be allowed to spend on are the kinds of projects talked about in the voter pamphlet that would be money spent over the next 3 years. The board is aware that we've been using any excess in the bond levy to call down to call in certain outstanding bonds. So over the last couple of years, our goal now that we have the 415 million approved by voters is to shift that purpose towards using it to pay school improvement bonds. And why do we do that? Because we're very concerned in making sure that is to the best of our ability, we can make that 13-cent max tax rate work while not knowing what the assessed value changes are going to be over the next year or two. So our plan is to use the 13 million extra that was raised in the bond levy to make a very large payment this coming July. And we might have a little bit left over to help us make sure that tax rate comes in as close as it can to 13 cents for this following year. The maturity range of the new bonds will be just like we showed in the voter pamphlet, a 16-year amortization. And for the outstanding bonds that we're going to refinance, those are all coming due by July 2033. We're basically going to have the same amortization period on the refinancing as we are for the outstanding bonds. For the average yield under the current market, after we add in about 0.25% for conservatism, because we won't get to the sale for another 2 or 3 weeks, the school improvement bond portion of it has an average rate right now with that conservatism of about 3.93. So just under 4%. We're hoping that we could even do better than that, but we don't know what things are going to look like in 2 or 3 weeks from now. The interest rate on the outstanding bonds that we're looking to refinance and call in is about a 3.66%. And when we borrow the money to refinance those bonds now in the current market, that's just under 3%. So we're looking to change the rate on those last remaining bonds from a 3.66 to a 3.66 to just under 3%. And right now in the market, that would mean about $700,000 of interest savings for doing that. And so the other outcome that we have here is based on projections and early reads on assessed value, we should be able to keep the 13 cents in place for the next several years while you guys are issuing bonds. So where are rates now in terms of history? This is one of our favorite graphs. The height, each of those columns represent a different bond maturity year. On the left, the first year, and on the far right, 29 years. The range or the y-axis that represents where muni bond yields for AAA rated bonds have been over the last 20 years. The lines that you see are where they are right now. And so a lot of times I like to point out if we eliminated those bond yields that we have during the COVID period and other periods where interest rates were just about nothing, and those were under emergency kind of conditions or whatnot, our rates right now versus any other normal year are about average or just below average when you're looking over the last 20 years. So with that, that's kind of the summary that we wanted to give you on that. If the board is ready, Randy's prepared to give a 2, maybe 3-minute summary on what the resolutions actually say. You go to consider them, if that sounds okay. But at any time, let us know, guys, what questions you might have with this.
Should we just get an update on assessed value?
We did. Today, the county released the preliminary assessed value to be used for next year. And we had been assuming it would be 5% in order to hit our 13-cent target, but it came in, looks like it's going to be about 6.6% growth. And I know that doesn't seem like a whole lot different, but when you're West-MEC in the whole entire Western Maricopa County, that feels good. So I'm pretty sure we're going to be challenged to try and keep it even, through continued 5% growth over the next years. But we're going to be careful how we set payments to see if we can add a little, increase the likelihood that works out for us. So good news thus far on the assessed value period. So I'll go ahead and pause, guys, before Randy starts here and see if you have questions at this point.
I do have questions. So, Mr. French, we talked about this would get us through the next 2.5 years. So what I want to understand is optimization of why spend 200 million now, let that money sit, how much is going to sit in the bank, how much will be sitting in the bank a year from now versus have a sale a year from now, because we're trying to refinance to save $700,000. if we have $25 million in the bank a year from now, we've spent $1 million more in interest. So what is our spend out for the next 2.5 years?
So, Chairman Straka, I looked at that analysis. I have it in rough draft form, so I didn't feel comfortable sending it out to the board yet because it's still chicken scratch. But I was looking at all the projects that we have slated. As far as land purchases, finishing out Southeast Campus Phase 1, beginning Southeast Campus Phase 2, we have the Career Academy that we're expanding, we have Northeast Campus that we're doing. I got to the fourth quarter of 27, so by December 27, I had $180 million spent on my sheet. And that did not include any of the construction that we're gonna have for North or South Peoria. So when I add that, I'm thinking that instead of that 2.5 year timeframe, Member Straka, we're gonna be looking more of like the second or third quarter of 27. I had Randy and Brian come into my office a little bit early before the meeting, and we reviewed the cash flows and started to strategize around when the next sale might look, or when it might be and what that might look like. So I don't have all the numbers for North Peoria or South Peoria. We obviously don't have GMPs yet from contractors, even though we have picked an architect and a general contractor. I do have estimates from a capital planning document that was developed for West-MEC. So I'm gonna be using some of those numbers to put that in. But I know when we were talking yesterday, I had estimated 2.5 years. When I actually started putting numbers to paper, it's looking like second and third quarter of 27 is actually when we're gonna utilize all the funds if all goes to plan.
So within 18 months.
Yeah, so what worries me is how much is gonna be sitting in a bank a year from now? Because if you're telling me it's still $100 million, that's $4 million of interest. Why are we trying to refinance to save 700,000 when we're gonna blow 4 million? And then the other thing I look at to keep the tax rate the same, that's $4 million of bonds we'd buy back at 4%. That's, I think, 80,000 a year times 20 years. That's another $3.2 million. So by leaving that in the bank, that's cost us $7 million, 10 times what we're trying to save on refinancing. So that's why I'm like, if we're gonna spend $200 million in the next 12 months, I'm good with that number. But if that number's gonna sit in the bank, we're wasting money. It's just my opinion. And so I really want, what is, if we approve 200 million, but you go back and look and say, hey, we're only gonna spend 140. Let's not issue the 60 million till next year. Does that make sense? Dr. Spurgeon, are you following my?
Makes sense. So what's how much, what costs for us to run each election or to sell each bond? So there's a cost to that each time we do it as well.
Yes, Mr. Chairman, members, this is always a challenging issue. You know, the requirements when you issue the bonds is that you have a reasonable expectation that you will spend that money within 3 years. You're sort of talking about the flip side of that issue, because of course the federal government doesn't want to allow your bond proceeds to sit there and earn interest when your investors are not paying interest on what they're receiving. In this case, this hasn't always been the case. In fact, it's probably only been the case for a few years. Bond proceeds that are not spent yet will actually be earning interest up to the arbitrage yield on the bonds. Right now, the difference between those is maybe about 10 basis points. That was
Told
not
me it was we earned very little interest.
Well, and that I may have misspoke, Member Straka. I didn't have the information until I talked to Randy and Brian today in my office when they were telling me about what the county treasurer as our custodians, kind of what they are able to invest that money into and what that rate looks like.
But there are costs with respect to issuing bonds. Each time you issue, there are some costs. A lot of the costs honestly are variable, but there is a portion of that is fixed rate that you will never get back. But you know, a lot of what you do with respect to bonds and when districts have bond elections and when districts bonds is when you're ready for projects. And this is a challenge because you don't want to short the amount that you issue now and find yourself 13 months from now holding up a project that you're trying to get accomplished. So yeah, this is somewhat of a judgment call, but these are the
Because-
issues.
For us, it's just the opposite of, hey, if we can keep, I thought our tax rate was 12.5 cents. Is it 13? Okay, I mentally have had 12.5, so thank you.
keep channeling this, I'm just.
Hey, can we get it down to 12.5? No, but the, I want to make sure as I was told Mr. French, I want to make sure we optimize, because it does cost money to do a bond sale. And then the other thing I would say is, why are all the bonds February, March, and April? Because I've been told I'm at the age I need to move to income investments versus, and when we were balancing out my portfolio, there were no bonds in May and June, and very few in January. And
Is that when they get issued? Or-
that's when they get issued, and so, you want regular income every month, so I guess I can eat February, March, and April, but not May and June. And then you can eat again in August, September, and October, because that's just when the bonds issue.
The short-term loan.
I'm just, is there a reason?
There are several reasons, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, our state and the timing of tax collections has to do with a lot, and it's like a lot of states. So investors get a lot of money in January and July, because that's a lot of bonds have interest payments that are come due in January, July. So we honestly, when we get asked, hey, when should we sell bonds? Well, we want there to be a lot of money in investors' pockets, and increased demand. So that's one of the reasons. The other reason is that a lot of muni bonds are school bonds, and they do projects in the summer. And so even though we might push Ryan and say, hey, can't you close in April? Can't you close in May? There's a little bit of tenseness about doing that. So I think that explains a lot of them, a lot of issues by March. Plus, you just passed an election. Let's go. I think a lot of people are excited. Let's get the projects underway. Anything else, Rick?
Well, and actually today we got the new property values for Maricopa County for fiscal 27. That is key in structuring your bond issue when you're dealing with a tax rate goal as well.
I own some Illinois bonds that are payable in April and May, and then 6 months after that. So maybe take a look at Illinois.
So maybe
That question, so just in terms of when you can sell issue bonds, are you saying there's typically only 2 times a year that we would do that, or?
No, Mr. Chairman, members of the board, you basically can sell bonds any time of the year, but there's certain periods of the year, if you ask your banker, when should I do it? We try and pick times that usually the demand is highest, and this is a period of high demand because investors have just gotten their interest payments and their pockets are full. And so we try and ride the wave into that.
How were our bonds do on the resale market?
I'm sorry?
How did the bonds do on the resale market?
Very well. Yes, your credit rating AA minus is super liquid. And in fact, they changed so by the time you put in the order and the trade is actually made, has been, shrunk, but from 3 days now to 1 day, because these things are very liquid. The buyers of these bonds are going to be large insurance companies, mutual funds. They're going to put in orders for 10 million, 20 million.
you have large block sizes.
You have large block sizes. And so, somebody asked us too, I think Dr. Spurgeon, are you worried that this is a large bond issue? And it is for Arizona. And I think my answer was, okay, if ADOT was gonna sell $1 billion and the Department of Administration was gonna sell $1 billion, we'd have to wonder if the New York Dorm Authority's 2 billion or Massachusetts Dorm Authority, or whatnot, or Port's 3 billion was really gonna affect the market. But the answer is no, 200 million is not going to affect the demand on one day or the other, as long as you price it right.
So why do insurance companies buy our bonds? Because they're not based in Arizona, so it's not a tax benefit for them.
The reason insurance companies buy is because, to answer your question you just answered, they're very liquid.
So why wouldn't they buy a 6% corporate bond? Oracle's paying 6%.
Right, well, if they don't pay tax, they pay taxes on that, and they don't pay taxes on your bond.
And actually,
Corporate bonds are hard to find in AA minus credit, sorry.
the large institutional investors, actually, I have learned, actually have tranches that they need to fill so that they can diversify their portfolios. So that may be exactly what they're looking for that day. They can't, they don't put everything in Oracle.
Right, there are bond funds out there that have, X% requirement to invest in Arizona local projects, and so we definitely call those guys, and
Well, going back to the projects, we have enough projects lined up to eat up this 200 million.
But none of them are in Paradise Valley. So we'll have spent $400 million and none in Paradise Valley that pays for 28% of our bond.
Well, there's
So
those
the
that are
district has
15.
put in $100 million to our bond and not got a penny back. And we're talking 28, 29, 30. So, that's my soapbox.
Okay.
But we really need to do something there.
Any other questions?
Hearing this correctly, that's not even starting the Peoria projects or anything like that either.
That is buying Peoria land. We're not even buying
Yeah.
PV land yet.
Yes, we still have another 215 after this 200, so. Yeah. Do you have something, Mr. Molina?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, guess we're ready for the next part.
So, just for a moment, you do have a resolution in front of you this evening. The resolution will authorize the issuance of up to 200 million of the bonds that were approved by your voters in November of 2025. The resolution also identifies a maximum interest rate at which those bonds can be sold. That number is 5.5. Brian just told you that is not our expectation. The resolution will also actually formally hire Stiefel as the underwriter. Probably the most important component of this resolution is the delegation to your administration to execute the transaction within those parameters that I just described. Once you vote on this, Dr. Spurgeon, Brian cannot say, oh no, it should be 215 million. That is not within the purview. Jim Gill is sitting here, he is watching this. If the market absolutely dumped when we were getting ready to sell the bonds and we could not achieve that 5.5 interest rate, we would not be able to proceed with the transaction. Interestingly, though, also, if for some reason the parameters could still be met, and I have been in situations where this happens, the parameters could still be met, but something goes askew and Ryan is uncomfortable that day and says, a week ago, we were talking about a 4% interest rate, whatever it is. Now we're talking about 4.5. Clearly within the parameters, if he's more comfortable waiting another week, that can be done as well. So you are authorizing the parameters of the sale, granting, delegating to your administration to execute the transaction. And there's a lot of municipal bond legal information in there as well, how the bonds will be recorded, et cetera. I'm happy to answer any questions.
Is there a window of time within which those 200 million have to be sold?
There in fact is not. I think your bond counsel, well, 10 years. 10 years, yes. Your bond authorization is good for 10 years. I'm guessing once the governing board has voted to issue the 200 million, probably an extended period of time, even probably 10, 12 months, your bond counsel is probably gonna kind of get anxious about that. But no, it is actually not constrained in the resolution. The only thing that constrains is the state law that says that your bond authorization expires in 2035.
Okay.
Could we get for the board the projected, I know it's not ready, but we'd like to get the projected cash flow and how we're spending by district and then which each district is, because I think it will really help the board understand where we're spending money, who's getting more than their fair share and who's getting left behind. Like Paradise Valley. Thanks, Barbara.
Sorry, is there additional presentation or are we ready to call the motion?
Yeah, well, first, there's a second item for the refunding of the bonds.
Yes, yeah, that's item number 2, right?
Right.
Okay, all right, so. Okay, so let me see, where's that? No, it's not, is the recommended action, okay. Can I get a motion to consider and if deemed advisable to adopt a resolution authorizing the issuance and sale of school improvement bonds of the district and adopting certain post-issuance tax compliance procedures and issuance and post-issuance of tax compliance procedures and including delegation to the superintendent and the assistant superintendent of business services of the district to determine certain matters related thereto. Do I have a motion? Okay, Mr. Molina, do I have a second?
Second.
Boozum? Call the any additional discussion? Hearing none, let's call the question.
Did you vote?
It hasn't come up. No.
Should be on there.
On the action item,
I can go verbal.
Here it is. Once I get it past.
all right, motion passes. Unanimous vote, thank you. All right, item number 2. Mr. Ryan French.
So, Chairman Ramirez, Brian went over this in his presentation. But if you would like, he can go over just specifically to the refunding of the bonds and go back through that slide. Or if you have any questions about it, if you'd rather him not do that, just go to questions, we can do that as well.
This is just the refinance from like 3.66 to 2.93
Yes.
roughly.
Yeah.
Yeah, so I moved that I think we
Okay,
discussed that.
all right. Mr. Straka makes the motion. Do I have a second?
Second.
All right, any additional discussion, questions? No. Hearing none, okay, call the question.
Frank, if you wanna buy some of the bonds, it's called. We get nice priorities. Those are Microsoft, whoever puts in.
I could use some of that.
Thanks.
Right.
All right, next item. Motion to approve staffing requests as presented, recommendations to approve, yes, Miss Kathy Mace.
Just so the board knows, we are growing as a district, so you're gonna see some additional staffing requests, so don't have to come back or anything, so. But we know the growth's gonna happen, so we're doing it very deliberately, very patiently and very strategically, so. I'll let Ms. Bates talk with them, I just wanna make a statement that don't let it scare you, because we're growing as a district, so you're gonna see some additional positions for us to support the work that we're doing, so.
Again, to Dr. Spurgeon's point, we are working for a gradual release of these positions, and we have been very strategic in terms of posting when these individuals would start, like all of the positions that you see in front of you this evening are for the upcoming school year. However, we did want to get the board's approval to at least be able to hire those positions. So these aren't positions that we're necessarily going to hire this school year, but just to prepare for growth. And to Dr. Spurgeon's point, just to be able to gradually release these positions, at least we know that we have your support.
Some of these are for the Southeast campus and also maybe to fill in vacancies that are being created.
from. These are all new, right?
Yeah, these are all mostly supporting positions.
Like I see Agua Fria Career Academy, so that one makes sense. The others say district growth. Could you just really quickly, I know we're growing as a district, kind of just help us. Is it just overall like IT administrative assistant? Is that just our enrollment count has gone from this to this, so we try to keep it a ratio? Just, it all makes sense. Just give us a little more content.
First of all, he doesn't have one right now, and with all the projects coming on, they're doing all their ordering for themselves, and they just need some assistance down there with all our new projects going up, because there's a data component to all of our new campuses. They just need some help.
And I do have the administrators that have requested these positions. They're here if you want more specific information, but I can just gonna give you a brief update on some of the things that we considered before we put this list together. The ESS teacher liaison is being requested because right now we have two. And those two ladies have to cover all of our campuses. And so right now they're doing 2 and 2 or 3 and 3 or 3 and 2. And Shelley can give you more information, but because our numbers are increasing for our students that do come to us that are special needs and have IEPs, even though they're teacher facing, meaning they don't provide direct services to students, we still have to make sure that the current staff members that we have, that they know how to work with special ed students. I mean, think about it, they come from industry. They may not have gone through a traditional educational pathway, so they really need that support from our ESS liaisons to help prepare them to have the strategies in place to work with these students, because they're kind of the liaison with their home school and West-MEC. And someone has to kind of be that intermediary. And because we're growing so much and because they did an excellent job providing data for the number of students that we've seen increase over the past several years. And with the growth of our campuses, we're just gonna see more. So that's why they put that position in place, is to service those students.
How much of this gaming grant, how much is it? How much is what West-MEC
The
received?
Indian Gaming grants.
Here. Thank you for the question. So Indian Gaming is Fund 20 for us. We get roughly $167,000 a year. West-MEC does not currently have any positions in there, so that has rolled for multiple school years. We have roughly $800,000 in that account, and we're not paying any positions. Now, it's very specific as to what we can pay. But student retention is one of those, which this ESS coordinator we would be retaining students that would directly match the purpose of the funds.
So we've never used these funds before?
That I'm not aware of. I just know we're not using it now. And we have a bank of money that we want to be strategic with and be able to hire these positions. We obviously want to we don't want to deplete funds entirely. We want to be able to maintain them, but we're getting about $167,000 a year. So if we are using a little bit more than that, we're going to be eating into our reserves, but we have such a large reserve that we can write that out for multiple years.
Okay.
Dr. Spurgeon, how many we're adding a lot of programs next year with Agua Fria Academy. How many programs and how many more students do we expect?
Let's see, Agua Fria will be open in 27. So for next year, it's the 6 programs at our Southwest campus. I'm sorry, Southeast campus. And then 27, you'll have this west half of the Southeast campus and the new Agua Fria piece, plus the new programs at Northeast campus. So there's going to be several. So let me count them.
So if we ballpark it, this is to support 6 new programs, not even one person per program.
Including the other 4 for Agua Fria that we had last year, because we held on some support positions and
So then
things.
that's 10. You're asking for 5 people for 10 new programs. Not even one, that's 1 person per 2 programs. That's, and if I think of how many programs, it seems like a pretty good ratio. Am I missing something?
But it's also to support the ones that are coming on in 27 as well.
Yeah.
So for example, one of the things that we've been able to do, like Ms. Calhoun, who was the employee of the month, in times past, the district would have hired that person full-time for a small number of programs, but we didn't do that. So she served between both campuses until we actually had the number of programs to be able to offer that position for her. And I'm always looking for other funding. In fact, we just found this money to be able to pay for the ESS liaison, because quite honestly, let's just be honest, we don't get any special education money. So any position we add, that hole never gets refilled again. And so we started looking through the district, is there other ways for us to, other than M&O, to be able to do that? And Ryan found the opportunity for us that we've never spent before. So. So 4 last year, 6 this year, so 10 total, plus any other support positions that will be available. So Harbor Free will be close to 200 students, and over here will be close to 300 students, so 500 more students total. Then 27, it jumps up exponentially.
So we have like 230 employees right now. After we're done building and stuff like that, how many employees do we expect to have?
All that, we'll have to count that up because there'll be some.
I mean, just a
reorganization.
round, I don't want anything exact, but a round figure.
Well, you figure teacher.
Your bond program, I don't, that's not unfair.
If you give me a few days, I could probably take a guess at, because I'll have to go back and look at the number of programs we're putting. But keep in mind, there's also ancillary and support positions that will be available. So I'll get close. Just give me a couple of days to think about all those.
Based on the model that we've been using to open these.
And you'll see coming up, we're looking to reorganize the maintenance facilities and maintenance department, because right now it's very germane to individual buildings. We're looking to move to more as a district model, so you'll see that coming forward as well. So there might be some ways for us to shift some things around, but the model itself really has been, you know, a lot of support for West programs. And believe me, if there was an ideal situation the district could be in, we're in it. And so we're being very strategic and very cautious about the money that we spend, because if we need it, we'll get it. If we don't need it, then we're not gonna ask for it. But we waited on some positions last year till this year to bring forward. And then we're doing the same thing for 26, 27. We'll bring in the following year. But there's gonna have to be some support necessary to.
Because right now we're looking for our IT admin assistant. Which campus is that?
That's here, the district office. They
It would
don't,
be here.
yeah, they don't have anybody. There's no one in the IT department. So it's the technicians that are ordering their own supplies, doing all their equipment. They're doing all that on their own.
Okay, so does IT, do they go to different campuses, or are they usually?
Yeah, they go to different campuses as well. We also have the specialists that are on the campus for everyday needs. The district folks take care of all the district infrastructure that leads down to the actual individual buildings.
So the technician that you see here would be the campus-based IT support. That's the same model that we have at our other campuses. It's just that this position, as these two campuses grow, for now, they're gonna split. So we would just have
Both campuses. In times past, we would have hired one for each. But that's not my philosophy. So if we can hold on those, we'll split it for a year until more programs open.
It was serving both campuses, our Freya and Southeast campus.
Question for the HR specialist. Are they all here corporate or?
And the reason that that position came up as a request is because the way our HR office is set up, it's myself, the HR manager, and an admin assistant. The HR manager does pretty much all the processing for human resource. So they do all the insurance, they do all the staffing, all the PARs, position changes. What I envision is that if I had a specialist to take off that processing piece, the PARs, the, staffing changes, then I can have my manager concentrate on the benefits side, because we need to do more with our benefits program, making sure that we have a robust wellness program, making sure that we're communicating better with our employees. So I kind of would like to separate what she's doing, because right now, with her doing both, she walks out the door, really with her office. Okay. And then the IT administrative assistant, we supported that because as Dr. Spurgeon mentioned, there is no administrative support in IT. All of the other departments have some type of support, whether it's an admin assistant or an office assistant or a business support clerk. Right now, their coordinator is happy to do all of the administrative duties. And so as we grow, I think that we need to make sure we give them that support.
And then I also, as far as adding the director of finance, as well as having a CFO, there are really very few schools that have both. And I did a little bit of research, and Mesa Unified School District, they've got over 9,000 employees. They do have both, as well as Scottsdale, and they've got about 3,000 employees. they have both, but other school districts such as Dysart, they've got 2,700 employees. They don't have a director of finance. Same thing with the Deer Valley Unified, they've got about 4,000, and so does PRA Unified. And they only have a CFO.
But one of the things I look at there is we're launching $200 million of spend on a bond. And that's the next couple of years with another $200 million following. Mr. French is gonna be working till 3 o'clock every morning to manage the bond plus everything else for the
That
district.
is what I want to know is why is it that we need this?
Remember with some, those school districts actually do have a CFO and a director of finance. It may not be the same title, but they have people in those roles. I know many of them. I know all of them actually because of my time in ASPO. But it's very common for school districts to have assistant superintendent of business and then a director of finance that really manages the business office. A lot of my day-to-day duties is meetings outside of my office, delegating to staff members in operations and in business. The director of finance is really designed to focus on compliance-based issues. A lot of the things that we're seeing in audits, cash handling, account codes, tracking, creation of account codes, tracking of bond dollars. And so we're seeing a lot of districts. I actually, to tell you the honest truth, I don't know of many or districts at all that don't have something like that at the size that we're at, roughly 9,300 ADM. So I know that we don't have many staff members because we have a lot of satellite ADM, but all of those different account codes that we're tracking for all of our satellite districts, the work is there for sure.
I just didn't want us to be admin heavy,
Absolutely.
And I just wanted to get your take on why we actually, especially, even if we doubled or even tripled our size employee staff, we're nowhere near 9,000 employees.
Absolutely.
I think the thing that's missing that we're not seeing is you're not talking about the saves. We've done some things through automation where we've saved people. And you're not coming to that and saying, hey, we only are asking for 5 because we did this, this, and this, and we were able to move somebody from this job to this job. And maybe as a backstory, sometime how have we saved on automation and developed people into new roles?
We'll also say through grant funding as well. Some of the grant funding is paid for full year salaries. That'll save the district several $100,000 to do that.
As we move forward, as organizations get bigger, self-service has to happen, employees click on their day off and the supervisor approves it and they approve payroll. You don't have to send every timesheet to HR. You're gonna be buried if we don't have more self-service and automation, and so you can have that robust, healthy living program. Oh yeah, AI is gonna eliminate everybody. That's what they say in the news.
Let's hope not, yeah.
What if it's fun?
So,
I make a motion, Mr. Chairman, to approve as presented.
do I have a second? Any additional discussion? Hearing none, call the question. Motion passes. Thank you. Right, Ms. Mays, approval of employee contract notice of appointment, notice of employment language and fringe benefits packages for the 2026-2027 school year.
Thank you, Chairman Ramirez. Yes, each year we bring our upcoming year's employment contracts to the board for approval. With the changes that you typically will see is if there were any legislative changes that address the employment relationship that school districts have with its employees. This year, there weren't very many changes, if you'll notice, because they're all black lined and they're highlighted in red. most of the changes are just date changes. And Chairman Ramirez, I did get your note about some of the changes that you had noticed. And I will get back to our attorney to take a look at that. And just to let you all know what that was, he brought to my attention that there wasn't specific language in the instructor contract for
Yes.
performance pay. And it is listed, we did make that change in the other contracts in terms of the funding source for performance pay, so we will take a look at that. And I think there was one other change.
But don't instructors get Prop 301?
Yes.
Instructors and counselors and career coaches are paid out of Prop 301.
Just gonna make that consistent across all.
And well, that's the change we had to make in the other contracts is because it referenced Prop 301, but the other classifications are paid out of M&O.
I think my only, and I ask this every year, I think, it's adult ed, because adult ed is not on a real annual contract.
They
Because,
used to be, I thought we moved away from.
We did, we moved them to an at-will.
okay, so is this at will? Because, and we just have them sign for the beginning of the year, but if the program like doesn't make it, we're not obligated.
Yeah, it's that one, it's on the first paragraph.
Struck up, I think we brought that up a couple of years ago, we made that change to move to that.
So I just don't wanna be committed. You wanna close the program, it's not making it, and we gotta pay an instructor. I gotta try.
ATE.
Would we make a motion with the condition that those questions get addressed or change, or how would we address that?
The governing board can go ahead and approve the contracts with the additional language of performance pay being added to the 11-month contract.
Structure of the month contract.
Yeah, pending review of legal counsel recommendation. You can do that.
Yeah, well, what was missing, what I noticed what was missing is the language that says that the instructor shall or may receive performance pay from the classroom site fund. It didn't mention that in the other classifications that are eligible for classroom site fund. They'd have that language, but not this one.
You're looking for the identification of the funding source.
Yeah, it just says,
Seen in here, so when you call that to my attention,
it talks about the forfeiture, but not that they're, so that paragraph is missing.
Pending the language,
Yeah.
the language addition to is the other, it's the non-instructor. Right, teacher does have it, you're just looking for the M&O, so you can approve that pending the language in those contracts.
Yeah, and the ones that are on the performance pay plan, the adult ed teacher and the support staff, they were missing the clause regarding resignation. What happens if they resign or are terminated? That they're not
Now,
entitled
that is
to.
in the performance pay plan itself, but if it's the board's recommendation, as well,
Yeah, cause I saw it was in the other ones, so these two,
just for consistency.
for consistency and.
You enjoy reading contracts?
If you enjoy reading contracts, you can become a broker instead of a sales agent.
Motion to approve with the recommended changes?
Yes. Motion to approve with the recommended changes.
So moved.
So moved. Do I have a second? Ms. Bosom? I can call a question.
So.
No.
Pop up any minute.
Sorry.
I moved, Linda.
Second, yeah.
while we were waiting, I wasn't trying to be like conspicuous over there, but we got notified from our valley schools that we'll have no insurance increase this year.
Can we get that breakdown by plan that we were gonna get last month?
County counties were going.
Scott was telling me we were the cash cow for Valley School for the other program where we were subsidizing everybody else. So.
And at Walt School, we're the only one.
Everybody vote.
You get the results, sure.
What's for y'all?
We just have a very good experience level,
The reason it's not.
and having on
on the
family
screen.
insurance helps us a lot.
That's why I want to see.
All right, moving on to last agenda item is motion to approve the governing board meeting schedule for the 2026-2027 school year. And
We approve it as presented.
I'll second.
Ms. Boozem? All right. Any discussion? Anyone have any issues, problems?
Just are you still good with your summer camp, June 9th?
Yep. I'm the 2nd to 5th this year.
All right, bless him. All right, I'll call the question. This one should be an easy one.
I'm gonna vote no, just.
No.
Okay.
Mrs. Someone?
Lee and Mr. Steins, yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Then Mr. Steins.
Yes, oh, there it is.
There it is.
Okay. Motion passes. Future agenda items. Any agenda items from the board?
Mr. Chair, this is Robert.
Oh, hey, Robert. Yeah.
Yeah, you guys forget about me. See, I don't sit down and I'm no longer there, right? Hey, so I do want to get a recap of our survey that we did. Miss Mays and Joel that were working on it. I would like to see a presentation. It was the survey to the employees for their health and comfort survey to get a good temperature on how they feel about their job, working at West-MEC and so on and so forth. So I would love to see that data and that information.
Thank you, Mr. Garcia. Mr. Struck?
So I'd like to request something from the administration on how we're going to address, we're no longer just the West Valley. And so the reason I bring this up is last month and today on my Facebook feed, I see a video and hey, I'm at Paradise Valley Community College and we have all these great programs at West-MEC. And if you're a West Valley student, and so this is right during the enrollment period. And so any parent at Paradise Valley is going to say, little Johnny, you can't enroll. You're not a West Valley student. You go on the East Valley. Even at the December conference I went to, one of our staff members said, West-MEC is from west of I-17. And so I'd like to hear the plan of how we're going to address ourselves and how are you going to roll that out to staff to get that out? We can't keep telling PV parents, you got to be a West Valley person.
Yeah, so we go as far south as southwest as Hilleman and then northwest Natterburg, so.
Wickenburg, so.
Wickenburg, yep. Okay. Any other items? No. All right, sure. Can I get a motion to adjourn the meeting? All right. One more time.